I went through Fort Benning as a cadet at the United States Air Force Academy in 1982, and I jumped out of an airplane that came from somewhere else. We have demonstrated that ability to sustain Army operations without having airplanes permanently assigned there.
If you think about jumping out of an airplane, I mean, you got adrenaline's through the roof. A lot of kids are scared, they're nervous, and rightfully so, right? Because we're jumping out of an airplane. If you don't practice it that way, it's not really not gonna be the same, you know what I mean? Beyond the hours upon hours of time, there's a lot more to it. Like the people that normally jump, they really don't see our side of it.
You have a training effort where, if, for example, at Fort Bragg, each jumper needs to have so many jumps per year. In order to be able to do that, the units have to align with Air Force units in order to be able to get the jumps that they need.
We use a program called the Joint Airborne Air Transportability Training Program. It's a web-based program that allows us to place requests for training support that then get filled by the Air Force. Sort of like a work request program.
The JAT website is a secure site for the military. The ground users has the ability to go out onto this website, put in requests. It's basically free airdrop support to the services out there, not just the Army, but the Marines, the Navy, and the other Air Force units that need airdrop support.
We rely heavily on the Air Force to ensure that we are dropped in the right place at the right time. The Army has some capability to do that, but primarily the Air Force is who we rely on, who we lean on to give us those fixed-wing platforms in order for paratroopers to exit those doors and jump into, whether it's another country or a training event. We rely heavily on the Air Force to do that.
The majority of the stuff that we do, if it's not in combat, it's for training. So a lot of the training just goes on to making sure that we're still staying proficient, both me as a C-17 operator or pilot, and then them as a jumper.
The importance of the relationship that we have with the United States Army and the 18th Airborne Corps, 82nd Airborne Division, is critical to ensure that our national command authorities have this skill set, this capability in their toolkit. And it ranges from that humanitarian operation all the way to the right-hand side, full spectrum combat operations. We have to have that capability for our national leaders, and we're dedicated to ensure that it does exist today and it'll exist in the future. That's what our commitment is to the United States Army.
The more we work with them, the smarter I get on what they need. So if I'm working with them and I typically know what questions they always ask, I can start building that into my planning process to better support them when we actually, need to do something real world.
I mean, at the end of the day, we all have to remain flexible. There's always going to be challenges in every type of training event or any type of operation we're going to do, particularly if it's a real world one as well. And I think we have a pretty good working relationship with the Air Force. I think they understand our need for their capability. So I think we do a pretty good job when it comes to joint effort and readying ourselves for combat.